Hey, what's up guys? My name's Evan here and welcome back to another Minecraft update concept video. This is going to be an update concept about the cave update, what I think the cave update should be. Of course, we've done this for the plains and forest and the jungle. So if you guys haven't checked out part 1 and 2, go check it out in the playlist. If you just go to my channel and the playlist, you'll find them there. This is about the cave update, and this is probably the most requested update for Minecraft at the moment. This is going to be part 3 out of 9. Of course, the series at the moment every Monday. And yeah, so I'm going to get right into this. Of course, the way we do these is we go through the mobs, then we go through nature, then we go through the mechanics, the structures, blocks, and items. But we'll also go through the ores when we get up to that topic, the ores as well. Because there's 2 new ores being introduced into this update. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Before we do get started though, I want to give a shout out to someone, and I'm also going to credit them because some of these ideas and for the future update concepts, this is also his idea. I'm going to give a shout out to the YouTube channel System Z. He does similar videos like these, but he actually implements them into the game with his team, and he actually does really good videos. So if you want a channel to check out, make sure to check out System Z's videos. He does videos like this, and some of his ideas for this update concept and the other future update concepts they do in the future will also be, some of his ideas will also be in the update concepts I do. So big credit to him and shout out to him as well. Link will be in the description for his channel. I better not forget about that because I say that a lot. Channel in the description, I always forget. So hopefully the channel is going to be in the description. I think it will anyways. But yeah, big credit and shout out to System Z. I'll give him another shout out and credit to him when I get up to his stuff that I put on my update concept and for the future update concepts as well. But as I talked about for the mobs, jungle update concept, I did a revamp to one of the mobs. And I said in the update concept that there'll be 2 mobs in the cave update and 1 mob in the snowy biomes update concept with revamps. So I thought about it. Any mobs I want to revamp, and I actually have 2 of them for the cave update concept. One is the bat and the cave spider. Now you might be thinking, boy, what did he change now? Well, for the bat, it's definitely a lot more changes than the cave spider. Like the cave spider only has like 1-2 changes. But for the bat, I changed the HP. I'm pretty sure the HP or health was a lot lower than 10. I changed it to 10. The bat used to be a passive mob, and of course, in this update concept I made, it would become a neutral mob. And now the bat will only attack you if you attack them. They will also deal half a heart and give you 5 seconds of poison, and the bat will also die after a minute if it attacks you only once. So, if you attack the bat, it will attack you. Once it attacks you, it does half a heart, plus it will also give you 5 seconds of poison. Once it attacks you once, it won't attack you again, and it will be similar to the bee, so if you don't attack the bat afterwards, it's going to die after a minute. And honestly, that's kind of like a cheap change. I don't know if I want to have the bat dying after a minute like the bee, but that's how I did it. And I thought about this of a drop that bat could have. I actually put in the bat wing, which would have 0 to 1 drops. How would it be 0 to 1 drops? Well, pretty much if you attack the bat and if it attacks you, it will not drop a bat wing. So if the bat attacks you at all, once you attack it, it will not drop a bat wing. But if you attack the bat and it doesn't attack you at all, then it will drop a bat wing, but not 100% of the time. I would probably say 50% of the time. And might be thinking, why are you making the item so rare? Well, actually, it would repair Elytra. Now, I was thinking maybe like a new flying mechanic, but I didn't know what to think of, so I thought repairing Elytra would be good. But the Phantom Membrane also repairs Elytra. So, both of them, the Phantom Membrane and the Batwing, would repair Elytra. If you can't get one, you could easily get the other, and vice versa. So that's how I have the bat revamp, and for the cave spider revamp, the HP is 15. I'm not sure if that was the original health it has, so I would probably change it to 15 if it's not that. It's still hostile. The only change I have is the cave spider will spawn regularly in caves and not just mine shafts. They'll also poison you in hard difficulty. Now, of course, you can see by the name it says cave spider. It's not mine shaft spider. I mean, it's a cave spider, so it would make sense if it spawned in caves. So I have it where the cave spider will now regularly spawn in caves. But what's going to happen with the regular spider? So the regular spider will only spawn in caves if there's a mob spawn around. Or, yeah, pretty much a mob spawner. And if you find a regular spider in the cave, that means you're lucky you found a mob spawner. So that's how I think it will end up going, in my opinion, for an update concept. Or for mine. Those are the two revamps. And now we're going to go into... we actually have one passive mob and 4 hostile mobs. And of course, these 5 new mobs are new. Of course, only 2 of them are actually System Z's ideas for these mobs. So again, I'll go over those 2 right now. So if you haven't already, subscribe to System Z, and I'm gonna give him credit and shout out to him. So shout out to him. The first mob he actually ended up having was the Villager Worker, or I guess you can call it the Villager Minor or Minor Villager. Whatever it is, it's passive, obviously. It's going to have the same speed as a villager. Its HP is going to be the same as a regular villager. It's not going to drop anything except experience. So some of the things will be similar to the villager, but what makes it unique? Now, it will be found in the entrances of caves and also many mine shafts. It could also trade in the new ore, the Amethyst, which is also kind of like purple emeralds. And it will also sometimes contain a dungeon map, which would pretty much have the dungeon map as a mob spawner. So, of course, the left image, as you saw before, could look like maybe an entrance to a cave if it's like against a mountain or a hill or whatever the case is. But it will also be guarded by a new mob, which we'll get into in a second. But the new mob, the guard, was actually my original idea. I don't know if anyone else has done it. We'll get into that in a sec, though. Also, mini mine shafts, so it'd have a very mini kind of mine shaft. And, of course, the entrances where the minor villages are will have an iron door. It'll have the new guards mob, which I'll get into in a second, of course. And that's really it. You can trade the Amethyst, which is the purple emeralds, for ores, and like iron, gold, diamond, the new ore, the ruby. I guess emeralds as well, you could trade it for. And some trades are very common, some are pretty rare, and everything like that. I guess you could say that like the diamond, emerald, the ruby ones would be very rare trades, while compared to like iron and gold and coal could be very common trades when it comes to this. You could also trade for a dungeon map, which would probably be the same rarity of trade, like diamonds and emeralds and rubies, of course. So this means that there is also a new type of villager coming in, I guess, besides like the regular villagers. And of course, I think in like 1 or 2 more update concepts, I think actually 2 other update concepts will also have another type of villager. And the next update concept, the next video for these is the mountain update one. And the mountain update one, the different type of villagers, also from System Z, so shout out to him as well. The next mob that System Z actually said as well, which I like the idea as well, which is why I'm giving credit to him, is the Undead Minor. And his original idea with this was actually a skeleton. Now, I thought it would be better if it was a zombie, because of course the skeleton would have a variant of the new guard, which I'll get into that in a second. So the Undead Minor would pretty much be a zombie. It would have a new item, which is the Minor Helmet. I'll get into that when we get into the items. It's going to be the same HP as a zombie, which I think is 20. It's going to be hostile. It's kind of the same speed as a zombie. Its drops is, of course, the Minor Helmet, which lights up caves when you walk into it. It will have 0 to 1. And it will be a pretty rare drop from these guys. It has a golden pickaxe, which also drops 0 to 1, which is a pretty rare kind of item drop. And it will also have rotten flesh, which is 0 to 2, and other zombie drops, like rare drops like carrots and potatoes. It will also, if it sees you, it will attack you with its golden pickaxe. It mines stone and cobblestone, and it will also be found in abandoned mine shafts. You can see it found randomly mining the caves and the mine shafts and everything like that, which I think would be a pretty cool feature. So going into a Minor Helmet, it would be a pretty rare item to get in the game, because you gotta find the abandoned mine shafts, you gotta find the Undead Minor, and you gotta make sure it doesn't kill you with its golden pickaxe. And yeah, sometimes you might not even find it in the abandoned mine shafts, because it'll be mining in a different direction. Sometimes you might not even find it in the abandoned mine shafts, you might find it somewhere in the cave. That's probably because it was mining random stone and cobblestone. I mean, it'd be pretty cool just to see that throughout the cave. And the miner helmet, of course, lights up caves when you walk into it, which I think would be a really nice idea. But going into my idea of guards, I have the skull guards. As you could see by these two pictures, maybe these could be what they look like. I'm not sure how they would exactly look like, but they would be probably different variants of skeletons. Maybe its face would actually be more or different than the regular skeleton face. It would have the same, of course, speed and HP as a skeleton. I'm pretty sure the HP is 20. It would be hostile. Its drops is, of course, the bow, the arrow, the bone, but it would also drop the skull head. So it's regular head. And of course it would be slightly different than the skeleton. That's a rare drop. And the golden or chainmail helmet, whatever they rare, I just said rare. I said rare, I'm sorry. Whatever they wear. And most of the time they'll be wearing the golden helmet about 10, I can't speak today, I apologize. The golden helmet, which would be 90% of the time what they wear, and 10% of the time they would wear the chainmail helmet. That's also would be a pretty rare drop for it to drop anyways. And also pretty rare to see on them is enchanted bow. That would also be a pretty rare drop. So they have a lot of drops as well. They would also be found garden caves and mob spawners. So besides the miner villagers, they would also be seen, of course, guarding the villagers. They would also deal the same damage as skeletons from their bows, and they would look different from skeletons. So it's kind of a unique mob. It would definitely look really cool in my opinion, but that's just me. Now there's two other mobs which I actually ended up making up on my own, but then later on when I went to research, okay, what else should I put in this cave update concept, I realized these two mobs are also already taken for other update concepts as well. Those two mobs were the Magma Creeper and the Spiderling. Which, as you can see by this picture right here, is what the Magma Creeper and the Spiderling would look like. These are actually my own mobs I actually created. I don't have a PC. I used my iPhone just to make them on a cheap app. So, that's how I think they would look like. I actually made those as well. But these mobs would be a bit different. Of course, the Magma Creepers would have less health than regular Creepers, since that would be a bit too OP. Its HP would be 15. It would be hostile, and it would also have the same speed as a creeper. Its drops would be the fire gunpowder, which would be 0 to 2. It would make fire resistance potions and fire TNT. So fire TNT would be a new block, while fire resistance potions would be pretty useful, and it's still pretty much it's been in the game for a very long time. It would also be found in a new variant of a cave. Of course, I've been adding and thinking about different types of variants of caves, like biomes. Of course, I have the warm and hot biome caves, which is pretty much the warm variants of caves. Of course, those would be in the desert and badlands as well. And they would also replace the creepers in those type of caves. And they would also do the same damage as creepers, but it will explode fire. So pretty much when it explodes, besides it doing the same amount of damage as creepers, it would pretty much be fire. So you would pretty much be set on fire. And for the Spiderling, it has an HP of 5, so it's a pretty easy mob to take down. It's hostile, has the same speed as a cave spider, maybe a little faster, I could say. Besides that, it would also drop string from 0 to 2. It would drop a regular web from 0 to 2. And also the Spiderling eye from 0 to 2. It's the same thing as the spider eye. It's smaller than the spider eye, but it also has the same use. So if you have struggle getting a spider eye, I guess you can use the Spiderling eye. So it's kind of a waste of a mob, which is understandable, but it's a new type of enemy and it's a lot smaller. It's a small spider, which I just talked about. It's found in spider webs and eggs. So of course the web is a new item and the spider eggs are a new item, which I'll get into that in a second. And it deals half a heart of damage. So of course that's all the mobs on this list. Of course those are 5 brand new mobs and 2 mobs that are currently existing in the game that have revamps. Now for the nature. Now there's no trees, there's no plants or new foods added. I couldn't think of any trees or plants. And I had trouble thinking about food. I couldn't think of anything for foods, honestly. So if you want a new food, you couldn't get a new food in this update, unfortunately. But for other, which is also from System Z, is actually moss. There's also the regular moss, there's the cold moss, and the hot moss. The moss would also be a new item found in caves. I would probably say also mostly found in abandoned mine shafts. But for different biomes and variants of caves, there is the cold caves, which would have ice, cold stone, cold moss, stalactites, which will be the cold variant, and just regular water. These type of biomes would be found in the oceans, the snowy biomes, the taiga, and the mountains. There would also be the hot variants of caves, which would have lava, it would have hot stone, hot moss, basalt, which is from the nether. So that would be implemented into this cave. It would also have the hot stalactites, and these caves would be found in deserts and the Badlands. So it's a bit harder to find these hot caves, but it does have the exclusive mob, the Magma Creeper, which is pretty useful as well. There'd also be the jungle and swamp caves. The jungle and swamp caves are pretty much going to be the exact same, but with a tiny bit differences. Of course, those caves would have vine stone, which we talked about in the jungle update concept. It would have the moss and bamboo. The swamp caves would pretty much be the exact same thing, but without the bamboo. And crystals would probably be found in random caves as well, and you could use the random dye colors of like red and all the Kai dollars are in the game, and use them to customize the color of crystals. Also with investive carvings or cave-ins with 3 random mob spawners, chests, and mobs, which is also an idea that System Z have, so I'll give him a shout out right there. Now we go on to the last topic today, which is the mechanics, the structures, blocks, items, and ores. Now this would be a pretty quick thing to talk about here. For the mechanics, you could obviously trade with the miner villagers, and you could trade the amethyst ore with these workers to get different types of ores like iron, gold, diamonds, and emeralds. And I actually forgot to mention this before, but also foods like bread, baked potatoes, and carrots, like regular foods you would find in the village and the dungeon map. And the Batwing can also repair elytra. I don't know if you would consider that a game mechanic, but I just put that in there. For structures, there is no new structure, but instead improvements to the cave generations, the dungeon mob spawners, and the abandoned mine shafts. So as you can see by these 2 images, pretty much the caves would be a lot bigger than they already are, but either for the entrances of the caves or the size of the caves. I think the caves are a bit in and small, like when you're walking through them, so why don't you have them a lot bigger? For the mob spawners, I guess just make them a little bigger, but you could also include other mobs like the skull guards, the strays, which would be in the cold biomes, the husks, which would be in the hot caves, the cracked skeleton and vine zombie, which I talked about those 2 mobs in the jungle update concept, which could be jungle caves, and the witch could be in the swamp caves, like different types of other mob variants for mob spawners. And for abandoned mine shafts, they would be updated more. They would have the same cave spider spawner, but could also have the Undead Minor in it. You could have moss blocks and more chests and ores in it, like the Amethyst and the Rubies. For 2 ores, which are added in this update, which is kind of disappointing to have 2 ores, but I couldn't make up anything else besides these 2. One is the Rubies. The Rubies would be, of course, in the warm biomes. They would also be on the same level as gold and lower. What I mean by that is if you want to find them in the cave, they would spawn in the same like Y coordinates as the gold ore would. You could also get the rubies from the villagers and wandering traders if they are in the hot biomes like the desert and the Badlands. You could also use the trade with the wandering traders and villagers to get random loot and now new trades like armor and weapons and tools, but you would have to have a lot of rubies and not very little of it. So rubies would be a really good trading item as well. For the amethyst would be found in the cold biomes and on like gold, but instead of gold levels, it would be found in the iron levels and lower. As I said like a million times before, you could also trade these with the miner villagers to get other ores like iron, gold, diamond, emeralds, and foods like bread, baked potatoes, and carrots as well. And of course the dungeon map, which would lead you to the nearest mob spawner in that cave as well. That of course is the ore, and for the blocks and items, there's a lot of blocks. There's actually 63 blocks. I'm sorry, not 63 blocks, 62 blocks as well. So there's 62 blocks added into this update. And there's a lot of them. And there's 48 items as well. So we're going to get right into that. There's the cold stone, there's the cold cobblestone, cold wall, cold stairs, cold slabs, and cold stone bricks. These are, of course, in the ice caves, as well as marble, slate, and basalt, which those would just be found in regular caves. The marble, slate, and basalt would all have variants of their own walls, stairs, slabs, and stone bricks. For the hot biomes, of course, they have the hot stone, cobblestone wall, stairs, slabs, stone bricks. And I forgot to mention for the cold biome and the hot biome would actually also have their own stalactites, same as the regular biomes, like just the plains biome would have a regular stalactite. There's also the crystals and all 16 dye colors variants of them. So it's 16 different crystals with all the colors of dye in the game. So there's a red crystal, orange crystal, yellow crystal, black crystal, blue crystal. It goes on. And there's also the ruby and the ruby ore block. Of course, those are the regular blocks, like the ore block, and there's the regular ruby block, of course. There's also the amethyst block and the amethyst ore block. I showed you already what they would look like. The amethyst and ruby block would pretty much look like the emerald block, but of course with red and purple on them like their regular ores would. There's also the hot and cold coal ore block, iron ore block, gold ore block, redstone, diamond, lapis, and emerald ore block, and fire TNT. So for cold and hot ore blocks, it's pretty much the regular ore block you would have, but if it's cold, it's pretty much blue. If it's hot, it's red. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't add like hot or cold coal, hot cold diamond. I didn't do that. I didn't think it was necessary. I think it would be pretty useless if I did that. So I didn't add that at all. For the items, there's 48 items added into this update. There's the Batwing, which repairs Elytra, the Fire Gunpowder, the Spiderling Eye, the Miner Helmet, which is probably one of the most useful things in this update and can help you throughout the caves. There's also the Moss with its cold, hot, and regular variants. There's the Dungeon Map, the Skull Guard Head, Magma Creeper Head, Spiderling Head, Undead Minor Head, the Ruby and Amethyst Ore, the Crystal Item. So there's the Crystal Block with all 16 dyes, and there's the Crystal Item, which is just a regular item with the crystal with all 16 colors. There's the Spider Web and Egg. There's the Emerald Tools, Weapons, and Armor. I'll get into that in a second. There's also the Spider, Witch, Pillager, Cave Spider, Slime, Husk, and Strader heads. So the regular mob heads like the Creeper, Skeleton, Zombie. And this idea right here I'm going to talk about is also from System Z, so shout out to him. But this would not be added until the mountain update. So the ropes would be added to the caves when the mountain update concept. So my concept, not the actual one, like let's just say the actual update concept was true, it would release into the caves when that update released. No, the ropes are actually not coming into the game, as long as, at least I don't think so. Yeah, so with my mountain update concept, it would also be added in that. But when I went to the Emerald Tools, Weapons, and Armor, it would pretty much be your regular Emerald Tools, Weapon. It's pretty much your regular Emerald Tools, Weapons, and Armor. For its damage and everything, it would be between Iron and Diamond. Now, I know Emeralds are rarer than Diamonds, so it would be higher than Diamond. It could also be between Diamond and Netherite. At the moment, I like it between Iron and Diamond for its damage and everything like that, but I just have it between Iron and Diamond. I don't have Diamond or Netherite or anything like that. And that's going to do it for this update concept. So this is the cave update concept. This is my own concept, which something's added here and there from System Z's ideas. So, of course, System Z's channel will be in the description down below as well. His ideas are really good. So I suggest you give him, subscribe to him at all as well. Make sure to subscribe to System Z. His channel will be down in the description down below. If you guys end up enjoying this update concept, which is this part 3 out of 9, so of course next video we'll be talking about the mountain update. Make sure to leave a like. It's much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to or you haven't subscribed yet. Comment down below, what do you think of the cave update concept? What can you think of? And share the video if you end up enjoying this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this cave update concept video, and I'll see you guys in the next mountain update concept, which is the next video, part 4 out of 9. Peace out.